viewers. Tonight's episode of APN's Jersey Shore podcast will not be streaming. Our scheduled host, Damon, the Hammer, Galdo, is a nominee for New Jersey Congress in District 1 and is currently speaking at an event in New Jersey. Thank you for your understanding, and you for being a loyal subscriber and viewer. APN's Jersey Shore podcast will be back on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, yeah, Justin's right about that growing economy. And I'll go back to what I said earlier, too, about getting VOTEX back into schools. Because I think that, again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but I think the trades are very important. You're always going to need a carpenter. You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need an electrician. But when it comes down to AI being out now, that's taken over a lot of jobs. But yeah, I mean, looking at an interview with Mike Rowe, he talked about this. And AI will take over some jobs, but we will adapt to it. We're going to have to adapt. So when companies automate things, I mean, if you look at, I know, was it in Stratford, I believe, the UPS. That's there. They just automated so many different things that laid off a lot of workers because, and they're using AI for it too. I mean, they don't even have traffic cops that much anymore because now they have AI scanning your license plate, and that's coming up in New Jersey too. It's already in Philadelphia. So, by the way, just be aware of that, everybody.
I already did that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just, we're just going to have to adapt to it. Because, yeah, I think Justin was right about that. Maybe move in a position and they just have to, HR says, okay, you have to put it out there for that reason, and then the job disappears. But more and more, I would say, I would go with the trades or go with something what somebody needs. That's the main thing. Like Justin's a lawyer. I can go on ChatGPT and type something in and have the amount of knowledge that he has in a minute. But I won't remember it. But he will.
That's all right.
So.
You might be right about that. You can't build something from ChatGPT, right? You need a pair of hands to do it.
Yeah, but I just won't remember it. But he's got it up here. I won't. I'll have to read it from a piece of paper.
I wanted to mention, too, just briefly on data centers. I was on 12:10 a.m. the other day with Dawn Stensland, and she was asking me about data centers, and I had just given her my 2 cents. And I said, these things need to be built. We talked about having them knocking over open space. These things need to be built on military bases and on military reservations. And underground if possible, so we don't have to look at them. Putting them on a military installation. We've got plenty of room. Believe me, we got our joint base out here that goes for days, right? And it's critical infrastructure. It would be more secure on a federal installation. And if you can build them underground like they do in Holland, do it so we don't have to look at them.
Before we take our next question, I want to sort of shift gears a little bit. If you are fortunate enough to be elected, what is the most important piece of pending legislation that you would want to advance, and how would you go about advancing that? I want you guys to address specifically all the pork that's in some of these pieces of legislation and the wheeling and dealing that takes place in trying to get these bills passed. For example, the SAVE Act, which seems to me a no-brainer, but for whatever reason we just can't get it done. So what is the most important piece of pending legislation that you would support right now if you were to be elected?
Well, one thing, it definitely is SAVE Act. I mean, for sure, 100%. Because I don't understand why it's not going through. I know they're on recess right now, but it's very important. I mean, voter ID it's an 85-15 or 90-10 issue. That's between Republicans and Democrats. But the whole thing is that Democrats don't want to pass it because you know why? They had an open border for so long because they in New Jersey, we give them driver's license and we register to vote at the motor vehicles. So that's why they're fighting it so hard. So yes, that is one of the most important things I would want to pass. And the thing is, when you talk about the pork, we got to stop these omnibus bills. I mean, there's too much in them. It has to be a piece of legislation at a time, because when you have a 10,000-page bill and then you only have one night to read it and they try to push it through, I mean, we get a lot of that pork through that. So, but and another thing I would like to do too, because Ed Durr actually brought me to this, Senator Ed Durr, the Billy Cray law. I would like to do that on the federal level if I possibly could. I don't know if you're aware of the Billy Cray law, Claire. I know you probably are. My brother-in-law, he's severely autistic, and he's in a home. And Billy Cray, Martha Cray's son, died instantly in his room somehow, and no one knows how he died. So they wanted to put cameras in the room, and Democrats in Trenton shot it down. I don't know why.
Excuse me, Democrats and Republicans.
And Republicans, okay. Yeah, so there's no reason for that. I don't understand. If a parent wants the camera in their kid's room, that's a very important thing to me. It's close to home, close to my wife. What's that? So.
What bill would be passed? I would look and see what's on the table and what's doable most first, which would be the SAVE Act. Okay, I support the SAVE Act, and as Damon does, and we would absolutely want to get that through. And then after that, if you really have to start to seek out caucuses and allies in the Senate and House, I would want my flat tax passed. I would want to dismantle the IRS and the Internal Revenue Code and make everyone's life simpler. Our economy would explode with growth. We'd have more revenue to the federal government, more opportunity for people. So that is what I would do.
Yeah. Similarly, or conversely, what's a piece of legislation or an initiative that your opponent has worked on that you feel very strongly was a mistake?
I would just say, Corey's more of a no guy to what Trump wants to do, and that's what I focus on. I haven't done much opposition research on him yet as far as what his voting record is. I know it's very left-leaning, and that's all I need to know. But as far as what I would oppose, I'm not sure that he would be willing to really look for common ground with any Republican or the Trump administration. So, as far as what he has pushed forward, I do know, I think it's what he voted against. Like, there was opportunity, I believe, to vote to protect women's sports and women's privacy in locker rooms, and he voted no against it or abstained or something, but he wasn't supporting it. So that's certainly something I would certainly point out initially. Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, one thing my opponent worked with Lou Greenwald with this as well on the state level, but it's the tax cuts for new buildings in Camden. For instance, the Economic Development Act, yes. So basically he brings in the federal dollars, and I know this from construction. My company I used to work for built the Sixers training facility, built the Subaru plant, and when the developer, and actually his two brothers got indicted for it, 13 counts of racketeering, but they beat it. But yeah, I would work against that to get rid of that, because when you give the tax credits to these circle developers that are only in your circle, and say like he brought American Water into Camden, and they got it was $165 million tax credit. So if you bring that in there, so basically you turn like a $200 million project for a developer into a $100 million project, and then once they sell to whoever it is, say it's a 76ers training facility, or say they sell to Subaru, to the developer, they can sell those tax credits as liquid cash. And that is a huge problem. So I would reverse that immediately, because then when you're not getting those tax dollars from these big corporations that come in there, and you're selling our tax credits, for profit, who makes it up? We do, and that's one thing I'll reverse.
Hey, I'm Anthony from Washington Township. I have a little bit of a different question for you. So, I would like to know, if you had to say one thing, what do both of you like the most about each other? If you had to say, whether it's in terms of something about their personality or their policies, just anything that comes to mind. Yeah. Both of you. I want to know. Yeah, I want you to think what you like the most about him and what he likes the most about you.
It's an easy one for me. And by the way, the Moral Coalition.
Definitely his hair.
The Moral Coalition, we heard it on the podcast. He's got a good thing he started there. So, but yeah, no, I was going to joke around and say his hair, as everyone says that. But no, Justin is generally a great guy, and he's one of the smartest person I've known. He's like a moving encyclopedia, and he's morally competent. To have that, both. That's very rare to have, and Justin definitely has that with great hair.
Thank you, Damon. I was going to get a cut, but not now. What would I say about Damon? Well, one, I'm honored to be on the Republican ticket with all the Republican candidates this year in all the counties. It's an honor. Okay, all of our House candidates. I would say, Damon he's the salt of this country. He's a blue-collar worker. He's married. He's a good family man. He's dedicated to his community. He's running for public office for the right reasons. So there's a lot to like about him. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Carlos Martins. I'm actually from Jackson, but I've been following Justin around.
I'm getting worried. This guy keeps coming to all our town halls.
Sure enough. So I think I've asked this question, a similar question before, but I might not look it, but I consider myself a young Republican, and I'm disappointed with the national Republicans. It feels like they don't realize how critical it is and what impact it will have when Justin Murphy wins. A Republican from New Jersey. Trenton will be shaking in their boots. And it feels like the National Republic, like you guys, everybody's complaining about money. Where are those guys? We have billionaires up there too. Anyway.
Carlos, thank you. And now I want to point out here that our very first town hall that this is our fourth one, and we secured a few more dates today, so we'll be getting them up on our events page. Carlos asked the very first question at our very first town hall in Mercer County, and he's been back ever since, so that's good. Okay. Now, what I would say to you is when people ask me all the time, I know Damon gets this question too, is are they helping you? There's a lot of theys. We have the RNC. Okay, Joe Gruters is the chairman of the Republican National Committee. That's our national party. That's a they. Christine Hanlon is a chairwoman of our Republican State Committee, the NJGOP. We have 21 county chairs. Okay, we have National Republican Congressional Committee for our House candidates, National Republican Senatorial Committee for Senate candidates like myself. So there's a lot of theys. Help is coming. Yes, they're helping. It's a bit of a patchwork. Okay, it's what different counties can do is a bit of a sliding scale. The RNC is helping me. They've taken. I gave them 15,000 pieces of literature for them to hand out in CD7 up in North Jersey. They're helping Tom Kean. They're dumping a lot of resources up into North Jersey for us, which we need. The NJGOP with Christine and Luke has been fantastic. Pavel is the vice chair of our state party with Christine. They put a wonderful event together for us in Jersey City. It's at Surf City the other night. It was a nice fundraiser, very well attended, and in deep blue Hudson County. And it was well attended. So yes, we are getting help. I see people online like, they're not helping you. No, I want to thank our chairwoman because number one, I support her. I want her to be successful. She has a very difficult job. She needs all of our support, okay, and all of our prayers and all of us pushing in the same direction and together. She started, Christine Hanlon, I get to give this girl credit, she launched an election integrity task force, election fraud task force back in May before we found out about all these illegal aliens that supposedly never existed on our voter rolls. So she's on the cutting edge of that. She has a very tough job. She needs all of our help and support. She has mine. The RNC is helping. Yes, we'd always like more resources. Always have more resources, but we do get help. The counties have been putting the town halls together for us. Kim and Camden County have been wonderful. I drag Claire and Cindy everywhere across the state. We're like the mod squad we are. So, but yeah, there is help. We'd always want more resources. We're all out trying to raise money and do things, but it's a puzzle, and we put the pieces together as it comes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna answer that just a little bit as well. Chairman Gruters from the RNC was with us up in Monmouth County about 4 weeks ago. There is money within the RNC for races. What they like to do is they like to match funds, so it's not necessarily fair. But the best thing we can do for Damon and for Justin is to get contributors to them as quickly as we can so that they can raise as much as they can early on when the RNC, based on whatever their algorithm is, determines that they're worth investing in, they will invest, but it's only until they make this, it's sort of like a reserve on eBay. And unless they meet this reserve, which they don't tell these candidates what the reserve is, but until they get to that point, the RNC is not going to come in and fund them. So the best thing you can do is write them a check. If you know somebody who has the wherewithal to write a check, please invest in these guys because they're certainly investing in all of us. If you can't write a check, please get in touch with these guys, make phone calls, get literature out, host an event in your living room. I was telling somebody earlier, Justin and I went to a beautiful event in Cherry Hill a couple weeks back, and almost all of the people who were in the room had an organization with which he or she was involved, and then said to Justin, why don't you come to my event, down the road 4 weeks from now or in September or whatever. So we have to help these guys from a grassroots standpoint. First of all, write checks, tell your friends and neighbors, write checks. No amount is too small, and certainly no amount is too large. No check is too large. But if you're not financially able to do that, please help them at the grassroots level. That would be great. So I know there's some people in line with questions. Again, somebody came up to me during the break and said, when are your meetings? Camden County Republican meeting is the 24th. It's a Monday evening, 6 to 9 p.m. at Philomena's. If you want to get on our mailing list, please see Anna Marie in the back at the front door there, and we'll be happy to add you to our mailing list. Justin and Damon are both invited. They have very busy schedules, so I don't know if they're going to make it with us. But we are having our new representative from the RNC attend our meeting. So he will be with us. I forget his name off the top of my head. Paul Bertrini was with us last year. There's a replacement. Paul was terrific. He is from the RNC, and you can feel free to grill him on why he's not giving any money to Damon and Justin. So please feel free to be with us. If you're from Gloucester or Burlington or any other county, you're more than welcome to attend. I was in an event Monday night in Mercer County, and they want us to show them how we do our monthly meetings. So they are worthwhile. I think you will really enjoy it, and you're absolutely welcome to attend 6 to 9 p.m. Okay? With that, you feel free if you have any questions. I know there were a couple people waiting. I will turn over the mic.
I'm a Karen too, but it's not my birthday. No, November 28th. Hi, I'm Karen from Stratford. I have a question for both of you. I'm just a little worried lately, I guess the last 20 years. My girlfriend was, I have a girlfriend named Norma Starnarsky. I went to high school with her, and she was kidnapped. It's been about, 5 years, 8 years. They still haven't found her. And there was a bunch of construction workers near her that day. She lived in a little trailer, so they had it on video camera. And there's a lot of people under the radar. What will you guys do to relieve a lot of our fears, us women, that are single? We don't want to be pushed in train tracks, and we don't, want to be kidnapped in our own yard, So I just think we have to know who's in our state, in our country. It's very important. There's so many people under the radar that can kill, rape, go back to their country, or since they're not on the radar, they can just keep doing it. So I don't know. And I don't want to be prejudiced, but when I see a mosque, I get very, very angry. And I just keep hearing what happened to Patterson. They're renaming the streets. And as a woman, I was up there, and I don't know if I would go up there again. I would not feel safe by myself, because I do acting, so I go up to New York, and I'm on the trains, and so I worry a little more than the average person. So what would you guys do to relieve my fears?
Thank you. So let me just rephrase that a little bit. What would you do to increase safety and reduce crime in our communities, number one? Number two, as you very well know, Democrats had control for 3 consecutive terms nationally and did absolutely nothing to assist illegal immigrants in becoming legalized or to document the undocumented. So 2-part question. One is, what would you do to make our communities safer? And the second thing is, what, if anything, would you do to address the issue of undocumented? And I'm not talking about deportation. I'm talking about how would you go about documenting the people who are here unless and until they're not here anymore?
Well, one thing I would do is I would ensure that we have a closed border. I mean, as my opponent, he voted against the Lake and Riley Act, number one, which, yeah, exactly. So, and I always back the blue. I work with DRPA, and I work with Homeland Security in my job as well, because I'm building commercial buildings for the government as well. I don't just do government buildings, but I just happen to do one, the last one. But yeah, it's just getting people involved and getting rid of the people that are here that have committed crimes. And we brought up the DSA earlier. The DSA, they're crazy people. They want to abolish prisons. You know, the Democrat Party out there, they want to catch and release. No, people need to go to jail for the crimes they commit and stay there for as long as the punishment needs to be. So I mean, it's as simple as that. We'll just bring common sense back to the people and don't have people out there that want to abolish prisons and have open borders and defund ICE and defund the police and defund the Pentagon. And I mean, this is just crazy stuff here. So it just push Republicans to actually get out there and be motivated more and more. Sleepy Joe. Thank you for that. But no, the seriousness of it, though. I mean, when you have Democrats in office that are voting against something like the Lake and Riley Act, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, it's so, all right. Thanks for that. So, all right. I'll have a go to Justin on this one. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. All right, government's number one job is what? What's to protect your citizens. And one thing we can do at the federal level, okay, we need to get rid of sanctuary states, sanctuary counties, sanctuary cities. They're a magnet for criminal conduct and criminal activity. I do believe that, I mean, a lot of law enforcement and criminal law enforcement matters, a lot of them are state issues and not federal, but you definitely has a role with federal. What we need to do is, I would say, sanctuary states that declare themselves sanctuary and cities that declare sanctuary status for legal aliens, okay, they need to be punished financially. There has to be a financial punishment for that. I mean, look at New Jersey. Not only are we a sanctuary state, but our Democrat friends in Trenton found it necessary to codify it and pass a law that says we're a sanctuary state. Okay, which is, it's just incredible to me. It incentivizes illegal immigration. It protects violent criminals. Okay, I don't understand the logic. There is none, other than you either trying to maybe destroy the country or destroy the state, or you're so pandering to the far left that you're not able to think clearly and see. There was a time where the Democrat Party wouldn't have supported sanctuary states or sanctuary cities, okay? But unfortunately, that's the way it is right now. There needs to be financial punishment for sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, sanctuary states, whatever the case may be. There needs to be. Government's number one job is to protect citizens. Another thing we have to do, again, it's winning elections is very important. Okay, when you have George Soros-backed DAs winning elections that are promising to empty your jails, abolish jails, the DSA, as Damon mentioned, abolishing prisons. I mean, abolish prisons. Where are you going to put these people? I mean, do they even think the next step and think through? No, it's utter insanity. Their agenda, again, the vision that we have for America is so very different than what the left has for America. But, you know, we need to be tough on crime. Look what President Trump has done. He has secured our border. We have the lowest murder rate now in 125 years. Washington, D.C. is not considered a safe city. A safe city because a Republican president said, enough, we're going to enforce law, we're going to enforce criminal law, federal law, and we're not going to let thugs run our streets. Okay, there's something cultural about that also. So we need to be tough on crime and aggressive on crime, deport illegal aliens, punish those that are responsible for criminal behavior. If you look at America's crime statistics, there is a very small number of people in this country that are habitual repeat offenders and commit most of our crimes. Most of our crimes.
Responsible for 95% of crime.
That's right. It's a very small number of people committing a very large number and disproportionate number of crimes. I was just listening to a stat today on Newsmax, and if I can recall it correctly, blue states and red states have different crime rates. Gee, what a surprise. Who would have guessed? Okay. There were, I think in the first 6 months of this year, okay, this is what happens when you are a sanctuary city and very far left-wing DSA Marxist Democrats run your city and promise to elect George Soros or appoint George Soros-backed DAs who do not enforce criminal law, cash for bail, sanctuary cities, let them out, revolving door, don't punish them. Okay, there are, first 6 months of this year, in Chicago, there were 711 murders in 6 months in one American city? Other American cities that are run by Republicans, Miami for one, and some others, much lower rates. Okay, so who's calling the shots is critically important up and down the slate. Really, state house, county, local, city, mayor, federal. I mean, but if you look at red states, I mean, the murder capital of the U.S. is what? Chicago. East St. Louis, Philadelphia, you got Krasner over there, and they don't want to punish people. I mean, if you look at the number of illegal aliens, okay, and not just illegal aliens, but criminals here that are habitual and repeat offenders, okay, the police know who they are. They will tell you. They know who the criminals are. They're arrested, put in, they get back out, and they're doing it again. They're committing crimes, okay? We're not tough enough. No, back in the 90s, we had enough coming off of the crime wave of the 80s, and we come up with 3 strikes and you're out. If you had 3 strikes against you, you were in jail for the rest of your life. In jail for the rest of your life. And we have to punish crimes. The left wants to say, oh, well, no, nobody should be locked up. You have to worry first about the victim, not the criminal. Then you have to worry culturally about what's producing the criminals. Okay, broken homes. Okay, we need broken glass policing. Does everyone know what that means? That's very effective and works. Yep. Okay, we need broken glass policing. Okay, we have to rebuild. We talked about it earlier tonight with the family unit. Rebuild the family unit. You're raised in a 2-parent household. You have a very low probability of getting in trouble with the law and winding up in prison. Cultural aspect, okay, law enforcement aspect, who wins our elections. But, I mean, as far as crime, it's so simple for me. If you break the law, you're punished. Okay, and you start young. You don't let broken glass policing. If you just don't let your communities deteriorate to a point where your police can't control them anymore. Okay, and that's a problem. And then you have sanctuary cities and open border, and you're flooded with God knows what. And then look, we have enough criminals here in America. We don't need to import anymore. Okay, so it's an uphill battle for us, but we know who the criminals are. We know who the criminals are. It's the same people. It's a small number that commit the same violent crimes. And if you look at the difference between blue state and red states, that should teach us all something, okay, about how to enforce a criminal law effectively to protect people.
I just wanted to add to that real quick. When Justin said about broken homes, and if you don't have a father in the home, then the child is more likely to get in trouble and break the law. And I think we lost that culturally. People don't go to church anymore. When I'll go back to letting government take over. When you let government take over, say like the welfare state, and you rely on government for everything. When I was younger, I went to church with my parents all the time, and someone was widowed or something like that. The church would take up a collection to help them out. And they didn't have to rely on the government and go there and get on welfare. And that changed our whole mindset. I mean, I'll go back to LBJ again. I mean, he said it before. He said they'll be voting for me for the rest of their life, when he created that. But that's the thing. We have to get back to what America was born upon, and that's a very important thing to me. And you can't import third world countries here that aren't compatible with the United States of America. That they're not, you just can't do it. So there's some that will never assimilate. They're going to come in here absolutely just for free stuff, and they're going to have their own culture, and they're not going to live the American way, the way this country was founded upon. So I just wanted to add that.
So let me apologize for taking the second bite at the apple. But
No, that's not the second bite. That's 2, 4, 6.
6 bites. But the topic that came up, safety, right? So currently, locally, there's this balance that we're trying to have, which is with flock cameras, right? Privacy versus safety. And it's obviously a balance. And even the Patriot Act, right? You can throw that in there. So I'd like to know your opinion on that.
There you go. Get the flock out of here. Yeah. No, I've actually had a conversation with somebody about that today. Yes, I'm definitely against it.
Explain a little bit, Damon, what that is.
Well, the flock cameras, they'll scan your license plate, and if you're speeding or if you just barely go through a red light, it just turns red. They'll get you. So that's why I mentioned earlier about, you're not going to have that many traffic cops left because they're using AI for that. Yeah, they have it in Philadelphia now, so they're trying to bring it here. So basically, I'm in Philly a lot for different reasons for work. If you actually you're in Center City, you pull over in a bus lane, and there's no bus coming yet, and you just have to drop somebody off, and a bus is coming behind you. They have it on the SEPTA buses, and it'll scan your license plate immediately and give you a ticket. You'll get a ticket in the mail right away. And even though there's no room in the city to pull over anywhere, but that's what they're doing. There's none. I know. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, and I'm glad I'm out of there at this point. But yeah, that's what they are. They're going to. It's just AI cameras that are going to get you. Even though they promised that they were never going to track you through Easy Pass, like if you got the one toll faster, than you should. Now they're going to do that as well, and they're going to give you a ticket. So if it takes you 15 minutes to get from one toll to another on the Parkway, if you did the speed limit and you got there in 12 minutes, then you're going to get a ticket.
And those are really local and state issues. These are not really federal issues that either of these two gentlemen will be dealing with. While I mentioned that, somebody said, what about the RNC and what about the feds? Why aren't they giving you guys money? We can't rely. We learned that last year with the gubernatorial race. We cannot rely on the top to push down in terms of resources, whether it's funding, whether it's door knocking, whatever it is. The politics is local. All politics is local. We must, absolutely must, rebuild our local organizations. It's not too much to ask for every community to have a Republican club so that when Damon or Justin comes to knock doors in our community, we can walk them around and be with them and introduce them to our friends and neighbors. We can't just rely on, like last year, the gubernatorial candidate giving everyone money to fund local campaigns. We can't run as local candidates under the name of our gubernatorial candidate or under the name of Damon and Justin and expect that we're going to pull off a win. That's not how it works. We have to do the grassroots. That's why we're building and growing. We are at the local level, at the county level, the army of volunteers that supports these two gentlemen so that they're not out there doing it all by themselves. So I invite you to help in that regard. All right, next question.
Hello, my name is Christina Focci. I am a member of Berlin Boroughs, right nearby, or actually this is Berlin Borough. And I wanted to ask this question about education. Now, I'm not really sure what committees that you would be assigned to if you would have a say, but obviously you always have a say in the end, right, when you're voting on things. But as far as education goes, I think as a patriot, because I am a patriot, and I think everybody in this room is a patriot, but as a patriot, I noticed that there's a lot that is missing from the school system. And as a kid that grew up, I'm going to age myself. As a kid that grew up in the 1960s and 70s, and I went to high school in Long Island. Okay, what I realized is that they never taught us about the USSR, the Cold War. Anything that we had to learn about that was either never learned, or our parents, who were conservative, would teach us. And I think that the real problem is that has attacked the NEA, the education of every single person in this room. And what I realized is I went to Catholic school, so I know that any patriotism that I had, it was because of my Catholic school that I went to. However, I know the public schools are completely different, and I did go to public school in high school. So my question is, I know what I would do, and I know what I've done to raise my kids. However, I want to know, what would you be able to do for all of the youth that are up and coming, that are buying into this DSA crap, excuse my language, and it's because they are uneducated. Literally, they are uneducated. They don't understand it. Their parents don't understand it. And their parents are too damn busy going to work all the time and trying to raise a family and trying to keep it happy versus telling them the cold, hard truth. That's all I want to say.
Well, no, thank you. Education is important because our young people are our country's tomorrow. I mean, they are our tomorrow. I would say, on the Cold War that you brought up, it's a profound moment in the development of human civilization and human history that the U.S. won that Cold War, and we really do not teach it enough to our young people, because there is a gap, and you pointed out, and there's a direct correlation between our young people today not even understanding, as I always ask them, why did the Berlin Wall fall? And they have no idea what that is, and they think because the concrete was bad. I don't know. Yeah. They don't even know what it is or what it represented. But the Cold War was a profound moment in human history. I mean, the ideological battles on how to organize a culture, an economy, a government, a society, and a people, and then finally, thank God we won. It's very important that we did. But our young people today that have that void because it's not taught to them, it's because our public education system has collapsed in too many aspects in regards to too many very important things. So cultural transmission should come through public education, but it has to come through family units also. There's absolutely no question. As far as education, I mentioned parental rights and civil rights issues of our time. I've always advocated for abolition of the Federal Department of Education. Amen. Because it does not educate a single child, but yet it's got a budget over $100 billion every year. So if you don't educate a single child and you have a budget that exceeds $100 billion every year, I just have a question. Where does that money go? Somebody's vacation. Jimmy Carter gave us the Department of Education, I think, in 1979. Okay, and from that day forward, public education in this country has done nothing but decline in quality and product outcome. Okay, President Trump was very serious about abolishing the DOE, but it does take congressional action. And he just didn't have the support in Congress. I'll certainly have my support if I can get there. That money, that $100 billion a year budget, that money should be taken when we abolish the Federal Department of Education and directly infused into each local school board across the country. It'd be the largest cash infusion into our public education system. So nobody on the left could argue against it, right?
I have to add more.
Let's get rid of all flock cameras too. I have no time for a flock camera. None.
I just have to follow up. I wanted to say, okay, great. We're going to give money to, the private, whatever, not private, like the different states and stuff like that for education. How are we going to, what would you do? I know what I would do, but what would you do as a patriot to make sure that the kids' education, that the money that was going to the kids' education would teach them American history and world history or Western civilization, specifically since this nation was, formed under Western civilization and, Jesus Christ. So that's my question. Follow up.
And money that comes from the federal government to states and localities, okay, has been constitutionally tested and upheld that they can have strings attached to it. It absolutely, and it can have conditions. If you want, like, if we look at our academia, okay, go to NAS. If you want to DuckDuckGo or Google NAS, National Association of Scholars, okay, the National Association of Scholars, they keep a database of all the foreign money coming into our college-level academia. And it's Qatari, China, and it's a lot of it, and it's spread out very thin. So, yeah, the money is corrupting not just K through 12, okay, but our academia. The money coming from the federal government, that's a good idea. So we shut down the Federal Department of Education. We get rid of all that CE, CRT, DEI junk and garbage that has nothing to do with education, everything to do with indoctrination. And we take that $100 billion a year budget and we say to all the local school boards, oh, you get a real big piece of this if you teach the Cold War and you teach civics and American history. Absolutely.
Don't claw it back. Gotta have a clawback if they don't do it.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. And we could say to academia, okay, here's let's say federal aid going to a college. You're taking money from the Chinese government of China. How much did they give you? $2 million? Fine. You lose $2 million of U.S. taxpayer aid, and that would put an end to that problem real quick.
I would say the number one thing to that is parenting. It always goes back to the parent. If they're not teaching in the schools, the parent needs to teach it as well. I teach my kids all this stuff. I actually have about a dozen words that I give them. And I say, hey, if you ever hear a teacher mention this word, it's okay to come home and tell dad, because I know it's a trigger word. It's something that they shouldn't be learning in school. There's other things they should be learning. And one thing is, it is the teachers' unions. And I am a union guy, but I'm in the carpenters' union. We're self-sustaining. We pay our own pension, our own annuity, our own health care, through developers and buildings. When you get into a government-run union, then it's on taxpayer dollars, and they grow too big, and they do whatever the heck they want. So I am against those types of unions. And also what Justin was saying with the indoctrination, you want to go back to Soros, you want to go back to whatever, I just ask everybody here tonight, when you get home, just Google January 10th, 1963, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Ben Carson mentioned it years ago. I had no clue what it was, and then it took me a while to find it, but I'll just let you guys look it up and let me know what you think next time I see you. January 10th, 1963.
Oh, what does it tell us?
Oh, I was leaving it as a surprise. So, yeah. I'll leave it as a surprise. I'll make everyone do their homework as a teacher. Yeah.
Just a follow-up to that. As you both know, the Constitution provides that anything that's not specifically given to the federal government is supposed to be passed down to the states. If the federal government is taking $140 million from the American taxpayer, do you have an objection to not taking that money from the taxpayer in the first place and letting the states just educate their own students?
Absolutely, 100%. And if all else fails, a friend of mine always said this, and I know it's hard a lot because usually now we're in a time where both parents work, so it's a hard thing to do. But starve the schools out, homeschool them. And if you have the possibility to do so, if you're not happy with what they're being taught in school and you have the ability to homeschool, then take your kid out of school and homeschool them, and then they'll start to learn.
We're going to hear from Annette in a second, but I want to tell you a quick story. I'm sorry, I love telling stories. But when I was a young kid in Catholic school in Blessed Virgin Mary in Derby, I was taught by nuns. This is like the early 1970s, and they dressed like nuns. They were nuns. Yeah. They were like the Blues Brother nun, don't come back until you've redeemed yourself. And we had a teacher in this school. Yes, resources to the local level, absolutely. That's how it works when you get rid of the federal DOE, education being state and local. But, I had to dress like this for school, and we walked both ways. If it was wet, hot, cold, didn't matter. We had no air conditioning, and the nun used to say, we'll get up and get a drink of water from the fountain. We stood in line like we're in the military, and she said, if you want it to be soda, just pretend it is. But we had a teacher named Mrs. LaMontagne. big Flyers fan, and back then the Flyers are good. They'd won 2 Stanley Cups, 74, 75, and they were a great team. And Mrs. LaMontagne would love. She taught what she was a lay teacher. Of course, we had the nuns, and Mrs. LaMontagne, she used to keep on her desk a huge, real, lifetime railroad spike, about this big, a railroad spike, and it would sit on her desk. And if you were like looking out the window, if you were trying to flirt with the girl next to you, or talk to the kid behind you, or if you were nodding off, look out, because that thing was coming, land right on your desk, boom, and woke you up. And there's not a parent that came in to complain about it. So next question, please.
Hi, Justin.
True
My name
story.
is Annette Ward from Berlin Borough. My question is regarding the Supreme Court. When the Democrats have mentioned that if they come into power, they will try and increase the Supreme Court. What are your feelings towards that, and how would you vote in that regard?
Okay. Well, first of all, and to be kind of funny about this, I'm a lawyer, and I'm complaining when I say that, not bragging. I've been practicing for like 20 plus years now, and I've authored a book on judicial activism. It's a great read because I think judicial activism is a existential threat to our constitutional republic. It throws our balance of power out of whack. It's very bad. I think we should take the Democrats up on their offer and say, you guys want to pack the Supreme Court from 9 to 15? Well, we're in charge now, so let's do it now. We're more than happy to oblige you. We should do that. Seriously, if they think it's such a good idea, say, well, will you support packing it now? We have a Republican president and a Republican Senate. And believe me, they would change their minds real quick. They're telling you that they don't want to revise the Supreme Court's composition and makeup. They want to revise. They don't want it revised. They want to be able to do it to, of course, tailor their needs for an onslaught of judicial activism that would probably destroy our Constitution. Judicial activism is the title of my book, The Silent Crisis, how judicial activism denigrates our constitutional republic, because it does. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says the number of justices that we need, but we've survived with 9. It's an odd number, and it's worked out generally okay. And I don't think anybody really sees a need for that except the far left wing. Now, the DSA is coming out with great ideas. They want to abolish the U.S. Senate. They want to abolish the presidency, abolish prisons, and open the border. You think that could possibly be a winning platform, but there are some people out there that will still vote for them. As an attorney with that, I just, no, we should not be packing the court. I hope there's enough sensible people in Washington and adults in Washington to know that if the Democrats do take power back, or at least one chamber this November, and I hope that they don't, and let's pray and work hard that they don't, that does not become a real threat, because it would be a real threat and a real issue to our country. I would certainly oppose it adamantly. Even though we could do it now, there's no need. We don't need more justices up there, because, we have 9, and it's worked out well for us generally. We just have to win elections, and that's hard to do. But we in this state, but we win elections. And as far as packing, you fight it every tooth and nail every step of the way. It's something I would never support, doing that.
Yeah, I don't believe in packing the Supreme Court too, and Justin is right. It's just what the Democrats want. It's the same thing as the filibuster. And they get in, they say they want to eliminate the filibuster. But if it's been working for this long, I wouldn't change it at all. And the Democrats have done a lot. They broke a lot of glass. Once you break that glass, it can't be unbroken. I mean, if you even look at how many executive orders that were given out under Biden, and then Trump comes out with 1,000 executive orders. I mean, it never used to be like that. So once you break that glass, it can't be unbroken. So if you want to try to pack the Supreme Court, I don't think the Republicans should try to do it. I don't think we should try to eliminate the filibuster. And if we do, they get back into power, then it's over. They're going to be able to run away with it. That's the thing. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's not break any more glass.
Thank you, both of you. And just one other follow-up. What's your website?
My website is votedamongaldo.com. And America's Pulse Network as well. APN.
My website is jerseyjustin4, jerseyjustin4senate.org. And it's the same for my campaign's email, jerseyjustin4senate@gmail.com. If you go to our website, you can click onto our Facebook page, our donate page, X account, Instagram account, YouTube channel, and all the other fun things that we all just love on social media. So.
But if you clicked on that donate button,
Yeah, the first button is actually the donate button, by the way. Make sure we put that at the top. So, yeah, it's red.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. My name is Tom, and I'm from Berlin County here. And one of the things I see most of is the voters that are younger and younger and younger and more ignorant about civics and American history. It's ridiculous. They don't even know when the First World War was, when the Second World War was. They don't, a Cold War, they think that's something to do with Coke and Pepsi. Yeah. They have no idea. I've run into people, young people, saying, oh yeah, history is one of my favorite subjects. I said, when was the Civil War? And they say 19. They don't even know what century it is.
Yeah,
true.
And how could you learn from your mistakes if you don't understand history? And not just American history, but foreign history and politics. It should be a taught thing in school about what are the issues and what you can do, and try to raise kids that want to be politicians. You guys want to be in the Senate, and you need to have people behind you that want to do that too, and want to move you out of your seat so you can become president, vice president. When you work in a business and you're just beginning to start as a construction worker, you gotta want to be the foreman. You want to be the owner. Because if you want to be more than you are, you have to dream of being more. So my question to you guys is, what do you aspire to do? Do you want to be in the Senate your whole life? Do you want to be one of these guys that you think are going to die in the House? Literally, because you've been there so long. So, what are your aspirations other than what you're doing? And how can we all help you?
Well, to the first part of it, one good thing is my children's school, they just started teaching a civics class, which is great. Because if you look at young kids nowadays, they don't even know what 9/11 was. They really don't. Yeah, they don't. But I mean, I teach my kids that. But the civics class is important because they don't know about the Constitution. Like you said, they don't know when the Civil War happened, the Revolutionary War, when the Declaration of Independence was signed. That's important things. That's very important. So I'm glad that my kid's school is starting to teach that. And I mean, again, go back to parenting. You got to teach them yourself if they're not getting taught in school. And I think we should push for that in every school so we don't lose that. And as far as getting into Congress, or I'm not going to speak for Justin for Senate, but getting into Congress, yeah, I signed a term limit pledge. I don't think you should be in Congress for a career politician. I think if you're in too long, you lose sight with your constituents who you're there to represent. So I believe in term limits. I know Justin doesn't, but for a different good reason. But I believe in them. So.
Let me ask a little bit different question. This question talked about whether or not students knew when the First World War was or the Second World War. Slightly different question. Can you talk a little bit about foreign policy and the Department of Defense and what your view is on the United States getting involved in foreign conflicts and whether or not we should spend money there. I know it's a big topic now for all Americans. If you could just briefly just touch on foreign policy and when you think and why you think the United States should get involved.
Well, I'll start. I'll go real quick. I have a lot of friends of mine. Everyone says America first, which, yes, of course, America first. But the world has gotten a lot smaller. Because with technology and everything else, relying on other countries for this and that. So we will have to get involved. I mean, you have weapons of mass destruction. I know the whole thing with Iraq, and that was all BS. But when you look at Iran, am I happy that Trump started this and going to hurt us in the midterms? No, not at all. Did I think Operation Midnight Hammer should have happened? Yeah, I don't think they could have a nuclear weapon at all. So I'm with that 100%. But we do have to police around the world a little bit. We're the most powerful country in the world. And when you look at it, everybody wants what you have. If you have something better than someone else, they want to come and take it. So, and you have to pay attention to what's going on in different countries overseas. I mean, we're lucky enough to be surrounded by vast oceans, and so it's harder to get to us from the outside. But there are other countries that are allies as well that we have to protect because we rely on them to police other countries overseas. So you need allies, and I think it's an important thing. And when it says America first is actually having stations abroad, having bases abroad. You need to be ready to go because everything's a threat all the time. So that's what I think.
No, I love foreign affairs and international relations. I've studied a lot of it in college and even in law school. I think America has a special place in this world. And I think it's a blessing to have that, and it's a lot of responsibility too. No, we're not out to conquer the world. No one wants to do that, but we did fight the Cold War. We had to take a leadership role in that. We've been a superpower since World War II, and I think that's a blessing. And I think the world has been a much better place. I've dedicated my campaign to the men and women of our military. I've served in the military during the Cold War, and thank you. We do not have the luxury of indifference. Okay, we just don't have the luxury of indifference. Okay, is it a good idea to spend billions of dollars on? Is it a necessity or not? And that's really what it is. We do not have the luxury of indifference. Okay, Iran, all right, is a bad actor. Now, looking at the room here, most of you are probably close to my age. I'm 60 years old. I remember vividly November of 1979 when the radical Islamic terrorists, which to me was the beginning initial salvo of the war of Islamic terror on the United States of America and the West, they climbed over our walls, violated, that's U.S. sovereign land, that's an embassy, okay, they held 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. Okay, and ever since that time, the Islamic Republic, the mullahs, the Khomeinis, the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, has done nothing but promote and export war, murder, terror, assassination, and destabilization for the world. Okay, they're bad actors, and it is about time that they need to go. Throughout my entire adult life, I'm thinking, how long are we going to put up with this from these people? How long do we have to put up with this? And Donald Trump, I give him credit, he said, enough. We're going to do something about it now. Tired of this. Right? It's not just nuclear weapons, it's a ballistic missile program. It's their funding of proxies that destabilize the Middle East. That's why we never have a peaceful day in the Middle East, because of Iran. Why did October 7th happen? Because of Iran. Not the Iranian people, but the Iranian government, the IRGC. That's why that's why October 7th happened. Okay? You go back, I mean, it's almost staggering to think about how much we forgot from November of 79. All of the terrorist attacks throughout the 1980s and the 1990s and the 2000s and up until recent assassination attempts by, yes, you guessed it, Iran. They're a cancer on human existence, and they need to be eradicated. We don't have common ground with these people. There's no negotiating with these people. They slaughter their people by the tens of thousands and think nothing of it. They export murder, terror. They've murdered more Americans, I think, than most people even realize. Okay, Lieutenant Commander William Higgins, through Hezbollah in Lebanon and Beirut, and the Achille Lauro hijacking, and all these things, and the TWA hijacking. I mean, they beat Leon Klinghoffer to death. He was in a wheelchair, and they dumped him off the side of a cruise ship. I mean, this is the type of people they are. So we don't have common ground with them. We're right to do what we're doing. We're getting into different phases of this engagement and conflict now, so we just have to be aware of it. There's a military phase, and then there's going to be a phase of transition. That government eventually has already been decapitated. There's probably 3, maybe 4 different discernible groups right now in Tehran that are trying to jockey for power. So that's why you hear different news stories. The government around today said this. It's a faction of some remnant that said that. Then the IRGC says something different, and then this group says something different. So we're on that road to remove that government, okay? And for the benefit of, most importantly, the Iranian people, they have been robbed of a decent life because of those murderous thugs. I can't wait to see them go, and I support the president's effort to make that happen. We should go.
Thank you very much. So we're going to wrap.
One thing.
Go ahead.
Peace is achieved through strength. Weakness always invites aggression.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up in just a minute or two. I want to thank Damon Galdo and Justin Murphy for being here with us tonight.
Thank all of you.
I want to thank everyone who came out, and I don't want to say most importantly because you guys are the stars of the show, but thank you to the Camden County Federation of Republican Women for putting this event together. When you all go home and tomorrow you're talking about this event to your friends and neighbors, I'd like you to have a 2-minute pitch that you can give them so that they know that they need to get involved in these races. So I'll just turn it to you, gentlemen. Give us a minute, a pitch that the people here in the audience can give to their friends and neighbors to get them motivated to get out and support you and pay attention to this race.
Thank you for coming. It is great that you did. And yes, we need to get more people out. We have dangerously high levels of apathy in this country, not just New Jersey. We have substantially more people sitting home than voting. That if we're going to win races, that has to change. And I think the most important voting bloc this campaign, okay, in New Jersey, I think probably across the country, are what we call Republican 1s and 2s. You have Republicans, then you look at voter registration data, and it says here's a Republican that voted 4 of the last 4 elections, 3 of the last 4 elections, 2 of the last 4, and 1 of the last 4. It's those 1s and 2s, those intermittent voters, that if they sit home by the hundreds of thousands, we really do not have a chance to do well this November. So great that you're involved. Go to our websites. Keep involved. We have an events page up. Come out to things. Get involved. Whatever you do, vote November 3rd or vote early. No early voting, and I guess for some reason we're getting paper ballots now. Applications can go out the 3rd week of September. It's right around the corner. Okay, and of course, election day is November 3rd. Early voting is a few days before that. So get involved, please. If you can do anything for any of the candidates, the local candidates, county, local, let us know. Keep in touch. I thank you for all your time and engagement and paying attention and putting up with us tonight. And let's shock the world this November. I think we can do this. We can do this.
Again, thank you all for coming out, and Justin, thank you for inviting me to this. I really appreciate it very much. So, yeah, I mean, just getting people out to vote is very important. As Justin said, there's tons of apathy. And it's not just the Republicans, though, either. We have to get we have to sway independents. That is very important, at least for me anyway. I mean, Justin might have more Republicans statewide than I do in my district. I have a lot more Democrats in my district, and so I definitely need independents. But like I said before, I said this in the speech before, you'd be surprised how much you would have in common with someone that's an independent, or I'll call him a Reagan Democrat, a normal Democrat. I mean, you might disagree on certain policies, but when it comes down to the meat and potatoes of it and what's really important, and they're willing to have a conversation with you, you'd be surprised how many people would say, you know what, you're right about that. You know, just common sense things. So don't be afraid to talk to somebody that votes differently. You might be able to sway them, you know, to the Republican side, because the Democrats have gone way, way, way too far left. So it's easier to pull them over. So let's talk to them as well. But again, thank you all for coming out. Again, thank you, Justin. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Alicia. I really appreciate this. Thank you. And we have, and to answer the gentleman's question that's behind there, he talked about the youth. You have Frank here. That's who's going to follow up. That's the next president of the United States right there in about 35 years.
Well, Damon and I brought lawn signs, Galdo for Congress lawn signs. They're by the door. Please take one on your way out and put it on your lawn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alicia, you have anything? All right. Thank you all for coming out. Justin?
Thank you. No, Frank Cibatoni is my field director in Gloucester County. He is one big reason Gloucester County gave Murphy for Senate the biggest margin of victory during the primary of any county in the state. The kid's a workhorse. And it's good to have him on our side. So thank you all. God bless you and good night.
Wait a second. You've noticed through the entire night the knowledge that these people have to support us, to represent us, but not one of them has asked you for dollars and cents. Please, 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 whatever you can afford. When I ran for Congress, I had one woman that for 4 years gave me $10 a month. For 4 years, and when she couldn't afford to do it anymore, she said, I can still pray for you, Claire. We love your prayers, we do, but please, 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 anything, 5, 10, 15, 20, forget the beer on Friday night. Give it to Justin, give it to Damon. Please support them financially. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming out. Please join us on the 24th. As I said, it's an open door, 6 to 9. Philomena's in Blackwood on Blackwood Clementon Road. There is a flyer on our webpage, CamdenCountyRepublicans.com. You're welcome to look there, or on our Facebook page. You're always welcome. Bring your friends and neighbors or both, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Safe travels. God bless.
Write a check to Justin.
America's Pulse Network. Amplify your voice with the premier conservative podcast network. Are you a standard bearer for liberty, free markets, and traditional values? Stop fighting the algorithms alone. Join a powerhouse community of like-minded creators dedicated to uncensored truth and professional growth. Here is why to partner with us. Who are we looking for? Ready to scale your podcast? Then apply today to protect your voice and grow your audience.
Yeah. This one's for New Jersey. For every working family that's had enough. Name's Damon Galdo. And I'm just getting started. Job site dust to the streets of the shore. Steel-toed boots, yeah, I know what I'm working for. Middle class hurting, every bill going up. While suits in D.C. say, man, just trust us. I'm a builder by trade, put my sweat in the ground. Now I'm building up hope for my hometown. Jersey's my home, blue-collar soul. I don't make excuses, I get it done, that's all I know. I felt the pressure, I've lived that grind, trying to give your kids a better life. I won't forget where I came from, man, cause I'm built by work. I'm built by working hands, fighting for working families. Not a career man who forgot what hard work means. They talk real big, but nothing ever changes. While Jersey keeps drowning in the same old pain, I'll build a future strong for our kids in this land. I'm Damon Galdo, built by working hands. Yeah. Donald Norcross been there year after year. Same old story while the struggle's still here. Claims he's for workers, but look around town. Rent sky high, grocery bills breaking us down. Where's the relief for the middle class grind? Cause all I see is folks falling behind. I ain't got decades in some DC chair. I got skin in the game, cause my family's here. Time, they had their shot, and tell me, Jersey, what have we got? It's time for change, time for a stand, time for work, and not another plan, not another plan, not another plan. Yeah, I'm built by work. working hands. Yeah, this ain't left, this ain't right. This is fight for what's right. For every mom working double shifts, every dad praying they don't miss. I'm running for my kids, running for yours, for a state that deserves so much more. Not talk, that's the plan. Let's build it back with a working man. For our children's dreams, for a better way. I'll fight for Jersey every day. No empty words, I'll take the stand, 'cause I'm built by work. Yeah, I'm built by working hands, fighting for working families. While the old guard keeps playing the same old game. But we're done with waiting, done with excuses. It's time for a man who knows how to do this. I'm built a future strong for our kids in this land. I'm Damon, Galdo, built by working hands. New Jersey 1st District. If you're tired of the talk and ready for work, walk with me. Galdo, Galdo. Galdo, Galdo. Galdo, Galdo. Make the crowd chant with no music.
It's great to be on with you. This is a great podcast. It's a lot of fun and it's informative and it's real information. It's none of the frills and none of the nonsense that you hear on the legacy media, just telling the story of what's happening right now. It's what I do with my newsletter that I get out to anybody who wants to see it. It's what you're doing with this podcast. America needs to know what the real deal is, and you're the real deal.
Hammer subscribers and viewers. Tonight's episode of APN's Jersey Shore podcast will not be streaming. Our scheduled host, Damon the Hammer Galdo, is a nominee for New Jersey Congress in District 1 and is currently speaking at an event in New Jersey. Thank you for your understanding, and you for being a loyal subscriber and viewer. APN's Jersey Shore podcast will be back on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.